Okay, well, I've got a comments here on the video about the using machine translation systems in MemoQ. So I just want to say it was good to see a video that shows how to do this. This is great because it helps compare different machine translation systems inside of one of the cat tools, and this should be done actually for quite a different views of this. And this was actually WordFast had one of this functionality actually in 2007 if I remember. um, yeah, I was working at Transperf at the time, and so they're trying to integrate all the one of the features we're working on when they're turning the whole WordFast over to the from the classic one to the new generation one was to have some plugins. So to have the do the same kind of thing. That was back in 2007. Yeah, 2007. So I was in the same office as the WordFast folks when I worked at Transperfect because Transperfect actually kind of brought the WordFast into their product line at that time. But we're not talking about WordFast here, but it's saying, this is good to finally see it's good to see these videos that kind of show these integrations and show how they work and some of the pros and cons of them. So let me cover a couple of points I think are important here to see how to address. Let's just see here. So the first thing I want to really point on here is what is the purpose of the translation here. So for this demo, what was the purpose of the translation to be made for the demo? I think that's always the key thing to start with. Is the purpose to do inbound translation or to do outbound translation? Inbound inward or outbound outward? That's the first thing to address. Because this will already bring up the issue of the quality that you're expected to do. And the type of engine you need to use. So we got to be careful to assume because we're going to show, hey, if you use the wrong engine to do a different approach, then you're not going to get the stuff you want. So I think this is really key. So what I'm seeing here is that in MemoQ is offering inbound MT translation systems, okay, or MT engine systems, which I addressed in the whole video about inbound versus outbound. And I've said that several times in one of my about Google Translate, Skype, and all that. And I've addressed it in several different videos about inbound versus outbound and why it's important to make sure that you use the right system for your purpose. Because this is going to... So you are using in MemoQ various inbound MT systems, but you're trying to do outbound translation work. And I made a video about that too, a specific video about this. I'll mention in a second. This has already been shown in many assessments for big corporations to just not work. It just doesn't work. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of cost. It costs too much money. And I can cite a whole bunch of examples of this. And even did the Sisteran, when we were doing the marketing brochures and stuff. I mean, it just doesn't work. Okay, if you're trying to use an inbound MT system environment to try to do an outbound translation work, and then I did a specific video here in my playlist or my YouTube channel, and I said why the Haitian Creole machine translation engines and all of the online apps are worthless to try to do productive translation work, because it was not designed to do that. They were designed to do inbound translation, and the translators that want to do Haitian Creole want to do outbound translation work. Wrong choice of tool. Okay, it's just not going to work. And I'll address this. We'll get this more as I come down to the 2 points. So that's point one. Point two, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. I started at the beginning of my career in industry on this topic. So it's two different approaches to this. And you're right in the middle, center field on this one here, okay, that came up, right? You saw it's multiple times in the paragraphs things. So there are two different approaches to this, and I've had different times in my career where I did it different ways because we could manage the content source or we couldn't. And so the first 5 years of my career in industry, from 1995 to 2000, or first 10 years actually, 1995 to 2005, the majority of that time was where we could manage the source quality, or we could adapt and change the source content enough to be able to make it good for translation systems, okay, MT systems. We didn't always create the content, but we could modify it. It didn't matter just to make it work best for MT. And so at Caterpillar, at Carnegie Mellon, and then when I was at, and then not the 2 years I was at Eldon Matter, and then when I was not when I was at Reversal either, but then afterwards when I was at MyCom for 2001 to 2005, so 2006. So the majority of those 10 years, where when I was working in the MT type of stuff, um, we could again affect the quality, the source quality, or we could at least tweak it after it was authored and still make it work for MT. I get in several conference talks about this. So either, and to do this, to for this point about managing, handling, or adapting the source language content, either the source language content author, the source language content provider, okay, the one that creates the content creator, that is the company, or the company. That's usually not a single person. It's usually when at multiple people, you got teams. So the company, or the in government, or the whatever, the institution, or the NGO, or whatever they want, that source language content provider needs to heavily invest in training of all the content authors to use some form of controlled authoring, whatever we want to call this thing. Okay, I don't want to avoid controlled authoring, plain English or plain language or whatever we want to call this, simplified technical something or whatever, simplified something. Okay, whatever we want to call this thing. Either that company, that institution, heavily invest in all the content authors using some form to do that, or they don't. So. But what we've seen in history, and this whole controlled language thing, I was the organizer of 3 of the 5 conferences about the topic from 1996 to 2006. So I mean, and I read all the papers, all the scientific committees, but organized the conference too, and brought all the people to come, and made sure that we got it advertised, we got enough people to come and all that. So, but what we've seen is it's too costly. Okay, it's just too costly usually. For the majority of people. I mean, some do invest in this, and many don't. And it's not just costing money-wise. It's cost time, but the people, the investment, it's heavy time. It takes time to memorize these things and change your authoring style and all this. Believe me, I've been through this. I force people to go through this. I've trained people in all different ways to kind of do this, and it's costly. Okay, it's a heavy investment. And when I say costly, it means people, assets, time, effort, everything. The second thing is, it often results in a number of style guides, okay, that come from a dozen pages to 100+ pages in a single document, which is a total waste of time. I would tell you this is a total waste of time. If the style guide for all these authors cannot be integrated into an authoring tool and an environment of the source language content provider institution, then it's a total waste of your time, because people haven't looked through a 100-page document until they've memorized the whole 100 pages, and believe me, they won't do this. And look at John Cole's style guide. It's 250 pages. I was the main reviewer of the thing. It's not in a tool. Well, it is now. Max has got it. I mean, there have been efforts to put this in, and actually Acrolinks too. I mean, there have been efforts to try to do this. But we got to get these style guides and stuff into a tool, or else it's just totally waste of time. Expecting people to manually memorize these things and constantly do them and use this tool, don't try it. And I luckily I started my first job in industry where we had the tool with all the rules in it, and then we just had to teach people the rules. And that was hard because 150 rules, okay? And I had to simplify that too. So been through this. Again, I force people to do this. So that's the first approach. You get to manage the content, source language. And at Carnegie Mellon, I was actually change it slightly. I would go through and it was Newswire, so I would adapt. And look at the whole about how we did the Carnegie Mellon University Haitian Creole project. I explained how we did all the content and stuff. And I explained in that video about that project, about how I modified the source text for our purposes. So that video is going to help too, to understand these are examples where you can modify or you can impact the source language text, okay? So source language quality. This opposite thing, and I've been on that side of the fence as well, from 2006 into 2010, because that's when I was working actually at MT actually, the beginning in 2000, 2001 as well, when I worked at Reverso. When I worked at Reverso, which is one of the main MT providers for Europe. I worked at Sistran as well, director of Europe for European accounts and stuff. And so, and and it worked at let's see, TransPerfectTranslation.com. So those are three examples where we could not affect the source language content. It was for the source language provider institution to kind of deal with that. Some of them did deal with it, and some of them did. Okay, so hey, you see you see some. I actually saw some customer testimonies. The ones that wrote the customer testimonies, okay, up on the Sistrand website, which I got them to write them about, the two of them, up in that period of time. They actually were doing source language content thing, including dictionary building and other kinds of writing improvement styles. Okay, they were the ones that wrote the customer testimonies. So who doesn't write them, because they don't do that kind of. Okay, so I was in that second period of time of my career where I could, and I actually decided to stop talking about controlled language and stuff, because I was then in a situation where you can't do it. And this is the situation of many language service providers. They can't affect it. You just get what you get. And then you got to deal with Gigo. Okay, we got to deal with the garbage in and garbage out. And all the cons that go with that. Okay. And believe there are more cons than there are pros in this one. So the majority of language service providers, call them big translation agencies or any translation bureaus, or what do you want to call these things, and freelancers, you are all in this, well, we can't change the source content approach. Okay. Because if you do it, then this, okay, you see what I mean? You can't change source content. You can't impact it. You can't influence it up front, upstream. So you're dealing with it in real time at the end, and then kind of making the translation sound better than the original. Okay, you get this situation. So, so here, the several examples you gave were Giga. I mean, and here, no machine translation system can deal with the fact that the language vague. It was vague language. It was they were doing things. And I'll give examples here. You talked about the word like DISA, okay? What that is called anaphora and cataphora. Anaphora are references, pronouns that refer backward, and it can refer backward a certain amount of time. So anaphora and cataphora, depending which direction you're going. Okay, so anaphoric relations and cataphoric relations. And so it's these pronouns, but they usually pronouns. It's all the kind of possessives and pronouns that go in either direction, backward or forward. Okay, because you might be saying you're referring back to, and it depends how far back refer to, or referring afterward. Okay, so these are, and this you can't change, because none of these tools, even with the best in context, ICE, in context matching, can't deal with this if the language is too vague. And then add to that all the people-centered authoring and all this stuff. So I'll tell you, people-centered authoring is just, it's going to destroy all your translation memories, folks. You can totally destroy it if you start changing the style of your writing. And then you're not going to have it'll cause, it'll lose all your translation leverage ability and stuff. So that's a whole other discussion. Maybe we should do a separate video on that. Another topic here, and this is great. I mean, I think this is great. This is getting us discussing what are the pros and cons and these kinds of things. So I'm just trying to show that we need to, when we're doing these things, we got to look at always the purpose, the overall purpose, and I always think about that overall purpose before I do any recommendation using anything, because we can get down these rabbit trails, start using things if this doesn't work, and there may be reasons for this. Okay. Been there, done before many times. Hey, see all this gray hair? It's come from somewhere. So I love it. Hey, it's great. This is a fun field. This is a really fun field because it's so challenging every day. It's so fun. You can't get bored. Okay. So I've got a thing on. I just ate something, and the bread stuff. I shouldn't have eaten before I did this, but hey, I decided to do this anyways because I'm here sitting in the restaurant and just want to finish the evening and having fun here. I'm just loving this. So terminology, number 3. This is the killer. I've been saying this for so long. Okay. And I've done a few. I've done a few. I'm going to plug in my computer here, so I'm going to keep talking while I'm talking here. But my computer's going to not be happy here. So I'll keep talking as I go. And so I want you to watch the video that I've done recently about. It's up on my YouTube channel. It's about the negative effects of the hype switch, all the hype and the switch, about going from rule-based RBMT. Okay, RBMT. So I'm trying to get this thing here, but I'm just doing it at the same time, so I'm kind of moving around. So the switch from RBMT over to SMT, statistical machine translation, and then NMT, neural machine translation. I did a video on this in the translations. I did a video on this, and I explained why it had negative effects on this exact reason, because we dropped all the terminology management aspects and the things that were in dictionaries, and all those RBMT systems were actually happen to have dictionaries. So we throw it out and say, hey, am I going to do big corpora stuff? But what if you don't have the big corpora? Or what if you get it done? Believe me, I've been running the halls as a director of business development, trying to find all these so-called translation memories that exist in the company, and they don't. You start all over again, and you just been there, done it. I mean, it's a pipe dream to say, hey, you can always get translation memories because they exist in big corporations. Try finding it. Okay. It's better, it's better said than done. Okay, been there, and I've sold the whole translation system over again to big companies because I couldn't get the hand of those translation memory that people kept saying they exist, and all these dictionaries people said they exist. I said, show me the money, Jeremy Guire, show me your translation memory, show them to them, and they don't have them. Big companies, folks. Okay, some do, but that shows you how organized it is. Okay, so. Maybe it's because I was selling in Francophone Europe. Maybe that's just Francophone countries, Francophone companies. Maybe not. Okay, I'm not making any judgment here. Just saying experience. Been there, done it. And sold a lot of translation services. And just couldn't get the source. They'd actually say PDFs. I said PDF isn't a source. I want the source. And they'd kept giving PDFs. Didn't understand that. So it's an output, not an input. It's not the source content. So. See that video on the negative effects on the switch from RBMT to SMT and NMT. Okay, it was successful, and I call it the hype. And there were some negative effects. The negative effects, we lost all this terminology and vocabulary management. What do you call it? Vocabulary, terminology, whatever, glossary management has always been the key problem, because all of the translation problems are around the named entities. We call them named entities. We want to call them business entities, named entities, people, place, or thing. Okay? Concept, people, place, or thing. It could be product name, project name, company name, whatever. These things kill the translation, or what they do is they make you have to do more work afterwards, post-editing. Okay? The whole SMT and then now NMT has made it worse, just made it worse. And so I explained in the video. Some people will send me some hate mail. Fine, I can handle the hate mail. Okay, but I did say where it's good for, and I said where it's not good for, and it's not good for situations in this kind of situation, this example. But what I did say, and I suggest here, is don't try using these online inbound, free, non-customizable translation systems that were built for journalistic text and not for domain-specific stuff. Don't use any of these to do it. Use a system that allows you to use your own custom dictionary and to optimize that quickly and fast. There are a bunch of systems. CaffeTran lets you there are some systems that do it, and so do some of the original RBMT systems. And like System allowed you to do it, and they just added statistical processing before afterwards to around their original RBM system. But they still allow you to do the dictionary and stuff. I'm not sure where they are right now, okay? But if you can't upload your own dictionary and your own glossaries, or what do you want to call these things, then find the one to let you do it, because you'll be more effective, because all these stuff, you can do it. And I've done lots of software reviews. I've got a whole section of my bibliography, my list of publications about how to do this and how to be, and people afterwards, they say, it's not possible, Jeff, that you got the productivity. I said, yes, it is, because you're not doing it the way I said how to do it. And I showed how to do it. And I gave several videos. I actually did at Prozzy. I gave a whole I don't know how long the session, 1 hour, how to do this. And I said, you can do this in any of the translation systems. This was 2012, I think. I said, doesn't matter which one you do it in. Just use the one. But don't use these newer things that don't allow you to do it. And they're just saying, hey, you gotta. They're all based on this big corporate journalistic text and this kind of stuff. It's all trained in this kind of stuff. Come on, folks. I've sold these systems to customers. So, and I know what it's good on and what's not good on. Okay, NMT is supposed to be fluid stuff, but then you know what? It always chokes on the named entities. It just chokes. Whatever you try to do, it's always hurting on that because you gotta have some linguistic knowledge you pump into it somewhere. I don't care if you call it training. I don't care if you're pumping in, injecting, whatever, post processing, whatever you want to call it. Okay, if you can't handle named entities, then it won't work for this kind of outbound translation production work. Okay, because we're not talking about inbound content adjusting. We're talking about outbound translation productivity. Okay, this is the key here. This is why the purpose at the beginning is what's the purpose. So like some of the commercial MT providers could or should still offer, and then this is a difference. So I don't know. I'm not calling them every day and every month saying, "Hey, where are you at now? Which are you only offering this or that?" Now I've worked for a bunch of them, so I mean I should actually go call around and ask them where they are and what this specifically and what version they stopped doing something. But so they still might offer their older approaches and might be using like Sistran in 2009. I remember when they started the SMT. I was there at the actual. It was in 2009. I'm pretty sure down there when they were still in the arch, the La Défense arch, and the whole overarching thing there in the middle of Paris, in the business district. We had a conference. And I came in. I'd already left the company. We came back 3 years ago later. 3 years later, and then I came back to it. Like had an open day session stuff, and they were talking to the MT processing, their SMT, the new SMT, at that point in time. And I asked a couple questions right there, and I said, "How you doing, pre or post?" And they said it was post processing. Not sure what it's doing with the NMT right now because NMT is a bit different the way it's done. Okay, and I want to go into the details of this here. That would take you. We'd be going for another hour. No one would listen to my response, but it depends at what point. It depends. It's all about this hybrid stuff. If it's hybrid, how is it hybrid? What flavor? Which other type of system? Which different systems are combined to make this work? Or if it's just pure NMT, or if you're adding some kind of things, or if you can inject, or whatever you want to call these things. Again, translate term. You can be training it, whatever, injecting. I don't care. It's just these are things to think about. Vocabulary is key. Named entities are key, and I will keep saying this. I can have enemies, that's fine. But I'll still be saying quality is all based on stuff. My stuff was always great. Productivity was great, and no one could actually reproduce it unless you dealt with the named entities. Talk about scalability. Scalability does no good in sitting there on it if you can't deal with the named entities, okay? Because that's where you key all your M changes. And I've done this actually at SAP with all the subtitles too. But I created my own database, created the whole thing. I used the database, did all the things, and I showed how you can actually master the named entities with dictionaries, folks. And so I'm doing dictionaries, and I was creating wonderful quality. I kept wondering. All my customers, internal customers, kept saying, "Says, wow, this is way better quality than any of our other transcribers are doing for all their subtitles." I said, "Of course it is, because it's named entity. I'm dealing with it." Okay, so prove it again, and this is this is after the NMT stuff. Okay, this was in 2018, and I did this kind of for like a 6-month project, and hey, it just rocked inside of us. I should actually do a video about this specific. I actually talked about it in I actually watched my video. I have another video where I talked about subtitling, okay, MT and subtitling. Watch that video because I talk about it just enough to explain how that works. And I was charging full price, so it totally works. Named entity, dealing with them, got to deal with them. Terminology, I don't use that word anymore because no one knows what it means. It sounds like some library rat over there in the corner and nobody wants to take seriously. I deal with corporate vocabulary, technology integration. Hey, that's what I do. So that's another example of how I do it. So I'm talking so fast, but man, I'm already at 24 minutes, and no one's going to want to listen to this thing except, well, of course, the person that made the video. So this is, and that's the case here. Where hey, I'm going. It's almost as long as the video demo is, but hey, I'm dealing with the specific points here. I think they're really important. Another comment was about Deep L being the best German for English. No, it's not. Among the free systems, again, the free generic test systems that are for inbound translation, free online, non-customizable. Okay, so I mean, what you want to do is you want to get some German English commercial paid license ones. Now, I'm not talking about the little, pay for the API kind of stuff. No, forget it. No. I'm talking about the real paid license stuff. Okay, they've actually trained it on different domains and trained it. Okay, not journalistic text only. Okay, generic stuff. I'm talking about domain stuff. Hey, Sister had 21 specialized dictionaries when they were still doing the rule-based stuff. They didn't completely, I'm sure, throw that away, when they did statistical stuff. They had to optimize that because they wanted to keep this stuff being good for domain stuff. I haven't asked them. I should ask them. I'll give them a call. But, give them a call and hey, say, let's talk about this. Hey, do a webinar and talk about it because this is important. But again, all those inbound, online, non-customizable, free translation MT systems were trained on journalistic text, journalistic news wire, newspapers, news, because it's made for, in English, Anglo-Saxon world, it's made for people that are 12 years or maximum 12 years old to reading ability. And it's that kind of journalistic text, which is non-domain specific. It's just enough to kind of cover the 17 different domains, which I talk about in my video about the Carnegie Mellon project, where I said the 17 different newswires domains that we classified all our text into. This is the 17 different domains of journalistic text, which is newswire, newspaper. Okay, kind of the general stuff. But none of them were trained to do on domain-specific text. And I'll tell you a hint here. The way we get customers, you bring them in, show them a demo, you show them newspaper, because that's the way it's been trained. It worked really great. You don't go and start putting on some pharmaceutical text because it's going to just strut crap, okay? So you don't do anything specific and nothing too specific. Or if you take some stuff for any kind of, and if you take for any kind of, customer, if they're like the automotive industry, you don't do it in their custom stuff first. You show them some generic text about some article in newspaper about automotive industry because just enough car industry vocabulary still stays within, the generic stuff. That's the way you sell it, okay? So giving some pitching, I'm giving some MT pitching ideas here, sales stuff too. Hey, and it really worked. You do that approach. Then when they start getting catched on stuff and say, yeah, this can actually get a few car words and stuff and do it. I know because I built the automotive industry dictionary for Reverso. Okay, I know how to do this, so I know how good it is. So I'm not saying I can remember terms. I did 5,000 terms in that one. So again, this is, you don't start doing the customized stuff until you get the customer hooked, and then you want to do a custom dictionary for them in generic domain, or if you have a generic domain for the automotive industry, such as the multi-doc system that was in 1999. There was a whole automotive industry, 9 different languages for 9 different projects in there. For the projects and stuff, you can go look at multi-doc. And then you start dealing with the customers' dictionaries and stuff. And you start to integrate that. So you have layered niveaus of dictionaries, layered levels of dictionaries and stuff. Again, named entity recognition and prioritization of the translation memories and of the dictionaries. People are going to say to me, yeah, Jeff, that's a rule-based. Hey, it rocked, okay? Good quality. Don't use NMT. Again, I said not SMNT in the video about RBMT. Don't use NMT if it's not going to help you, okay? Don't use SMT if it's not going to help you. If you're going to be changing stuff all the time, then don't use it. Use no rule-based system. Just use it, put a dictionary in it, and it'll be better for you. It'll be better. So this is why I think that there needs kind of the separation. The big corporate projects and the majority of all the translation projects and across the entirety are not big corporate projects. There are a lot of small projects of 5,000 to 7,000 words, right? So we're using the wrong systems to be able to do it in the 5,000 to 7,000 word projects because you can't customize them and they're not made for that kind of text. They're made for inbound, not outbound. I got to keep saying this because that's how it is. And I made another article in 2004 on called Thinking About Machine Translation, which is the introduction in the Multilingual Computing magazine, which is called Multilingual Magazine. In the 2004 entry, remember, it was the special issue about machine translation. And one of the beginning article, in the beginning section of my introduction to all the other articles or all the other authors, and I wrote another article in there as well, was it saying that if you use inbound systems to do outbound translation work, it will not going to work. This is 2004, 2006. Got to look up the exact dates. I've written so many of these, I can't remember the dates. Okay, the exact dates. I'd have to look it up. Another point here. Wow, we're at 30 minutes. Boy, great. Hope people are listening to this thing. Because I'm giving away just trying to explain this stuff. This is nothing, confidential stuff. This is all published stuff. All published stuff. I'm pointing us to the other videos, the articles. Go read these things. Go check it out. Um, Number 5, the translation environment. And I don't care if it's a CAT tool, computer-assisted translation. Basically, translation memory with a bit of extra features around it. Okay, we call it CAT tools, translation memory tools, whatever. And I'm not getting into the difference of these things. Okay, or an MT tool doesn't make. If you use the environment doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if all these other issues I've been talking about are not addressed and somehow handled. Okay, so a CAT tool like a MemoQ that's integrated free inbound MT engines is not addressing the real issues of productivity improvement of the dictionary management and all the named entities and the productivity. Because it doesn't matter if you do it in the MT tool interface or do it in the CAT tool, you're going to still deal with all this other stuff, the GIGO, the terminology management. It's like, hell, we've seen them in the demo. So it's the same. That's the way it is. So, hope the video helps. I hope my response helps to kind of get us going. I'm trying not to criticize or critique. I'm not trying to criticize. I'm just going to say, hey, this is, I guess people could take this criticizing. What I'm trying to do is say, we've learned from history. We got to learn from history, learn lessons, okay? Historians, what they do is they learn that, that anachronism is the worst enemy. Because if we think that things are today as they have always been, then it's not. Things are actually better with the RMT approach, I'll tell you, on some of this stuff. For especially the small projects where you want to have custom dictionary stuff, you want to customize it quickly and do it. Then you don't do all this post-editing afterwards, or very little. And go read my article in 2006 about Translators Cafe. It's number 59, okay? It's article 59 off the top of my head. 2006, called Dictionary Building. Read that thing. I actually give all the stuff away. I give all my data away. I actually in 2 different languages, and I highlighted all the before and after. Totally give it to everybody. Hey, reverse engineer, folks. You can see my dictionary entries, but I didn't tell you how I coded them, okay? So that's the extra stuff you can't do. This is all there. If we just go back and see the examples where it's been really productive, and I did that thing on purpose. I did that specific purpose to show the data, because I had been criticized the years before, where I talked about productivity, gave all the stats on productivity, said, hey, but you're not showing us the data. Well, I can't give confidential data away about telecom company stuff. So then I deal with press releases, all published. So when I made a deal, and hey, we did it. Now the data's there, so no one can criticize data. Now you go watch it, okay? That article, 2006, Translators Cafe, on MT Dictionary Building, I did dictionary building, and I showed the results of before and after with the dictionaries for French and English to French, but I didn't do post-editing. Could have added another layer onto it. That would have been better, but hey, didn't want to make it longer than it already was. So it was already like a 10-page article to show all the stuff. If I have to explain all the difference of the MT posting, then we'll get in my doctoral thesis on the topic of using control language in MT. so then we have a thesis, okay? So it's kind of that thing. It's a never-ending thing, and can't give a 2-minute pitch about that. Well, I can't give a 3-minute pitch about some stuff, but hey, this is fun stuff, okay? We're all in it. It's a great moment in history to be involved in stuff. We've seen how things work. We've seen how things don't work. We're seeing how different things work. And now we're seeing different ways. Now we can have different options. But we got to look at what's the purpose of the translation, what's the intended purpose of the translation. Start there. Don't just jump into the translation and say, hey, let's go. And then what's the end of the quality? Because if you're spending more time doing changes, then it's a waste of time. Okay? I just totally waste time. And you got to look at what the reasons for that are, which is kind of addressed here with the whole GIGO and non-quality stuff. But if I won't touch something, hey, if I know there's a project that's coming, the first thing I'm going to ask a couple questions. Go watch my 2012 video, actually, too, on Prezi.com about qualifying MT projects, qualifying MT. It's up on my YouTube channel. on qualifying MT projects. And I talk about this. I say I first qualify it, and I ask a bunch of questions. I give all the questions away of what I ask before I even touch a project. And if I see anything that smells like I'm going to spend more time on it than I need to, I say, sayonara, I'm not touching that puppy because it's going to waste my time and I'm going to spend more money in internal costs and I'm going to cost on charging the customer to do the project. Hey, that's a waste of time. Total waste of time. So go watch those other videos and stuff and read those articles. And I'm pointing to a bunch of them here. And I'm kind of doing it in a video format. Hey, it's better lighting here. I'm at a restaurant. Better lighting, better kind of background. You can see the logo up high, but but it was better than trying to do it in the car live streaming, because it wouldn't have been so cool lighting wise. And it would have created, using an iPhone just creates this huge video that's so big that I can't even upload it. So, I got to make trying to get on my iPhone to maybe do live streaming directly and do it, but still can't, the lighting's a lot better here. So, hey, this is great. Let's keep the dialogue going. Do more videos, do more stuff. Let's all kind of participate in doing this. Online reviewing. This is great. And yeah, let's critique it, because when you critique it, it gets better. And when I'm starting to do these bug reports online, the videos, hey, believe me, you know what? It goes in. Now, I've kind of written software reviews before through the magazines. I'll tell you, I've written software reviews through the magazines. But when you do that, then you got to go with the software provider. They got to give you the thing. And then you got to go through this approval process, okay? And I've been through the approval process before of the actual software provider saying, we don't want you to say this and say that. And I say, no, we're going to let me say it or I won't publish it. So I've been through that round before. Well, you know what? Here, it doesn't matter. I'm saying it online, okay? So I'm saying stuff online by critiquing stuff. So now it's out. You don't have to worry about publishing it in the magazine. No, I have to worry about going through and say, hey, do they have to approve it stuff? It's online. I've written my bug report, okay? We need to fix it. So integration with MemSource and stuff, you got a few things. You got to see what they are. All this stuff about it's not able to take such and such thing, or they take the dictionary and stuff. Got to deal with it, folks. But get the commercial systems in there. Make the commercial systems available. Just make it available. And if the people don't have the license, then you know what? They don't get stays grayed out, okay? But get the deals with all the commercial systems just so you can plug it in. And that makes the customer have to buy the license to get access. They can actually do the customization with an online system, or if they can do it by uploading it, if they've got the online, if they have the license, if they got their own dictionary, and they get the license for them, they can do it. This can be done, folks. This can be done. Just deals. Come on, deals. Just making deals. If you got to have problems you don't know who to talk to, come to me and I'll make sure we get the deals made here. I won't even charge you anything, okay? I'll do it for free. I'll get put in contact. We'll start discussions, and you guys have to deal with all the details, okay? Let's make them good. Make them good here. Let's get the stuff working. Make it usable for the users. Come on, folks. I've spent 3 decades of my career trying to make it so that the professional translators can have something to use. And when they're still saying, hey, this isn't usable, or spending more time making the change in the post-editing stuff, hey, it's not good yet, okay? And I've been, trying to organize lots of conferences to try to get the translators and the MT stuff together. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to do. I've been there, paid by dues, being up on all the translate, Lantralist, Prozzy.com, Translators Cafe, been up in the forums. I've defended MT because I'm good at it. I'm just good at doing it. And I've really learned how to really master it and do it. Sorry, I use the word master. Darn, blacklist. They got to be careful with these inclusive words. Shoot me down for that one too. But it can be done. It's not about the tool. It's about the methodology. And I can use any of these tools and make it work. But there are tools I won't use for certain purposes, okay? So this is the issue. I will not use an inbound translation tool to try to do an outbound translation job unless I have no choice in doing it, okay? You gotta chain me to the table and make me do it, because it's going to be a waste of my time, totally waste of my time. So, but I've used MT on a lot of stuff. Hey, I should give a video just on the MT stuff just the MT thing that I have done that are kind of like out of the box and just like crazy, and they totally work because I did it right. So that'll be another video. Hey, this is great. Sorry, it's not 40 minutes, but I've been, I want to give some advice here. The whole goal is to give advice. Do some vocal bug reports too, and really encourage us to move the needle forward again more, improving. Okay, great. Thanks for listening, and hey, reach out if you need my help on anything. We'll make things things happen. And I won't charge for stuff. That's I don't want to get. That's just I'll make a few phone calls. We'll deal with it. Okay. All right. Thanks.